Zadrizes Buzdaris goes down.
Welcome! In this video, I will be breaking down the House of the Dragon Season 2 official trailer. The show comes out in less than a month. Can't believe I'm saying that. Holy crap. Super excited about that, right? But the title of it was official trailer. So we may be getting one more teaser, but that's besides the point. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Please do me a massive favor. If you're a fan of my content here on YouTube, please just subscribe to my channel. That's the #1 best thing you could ever do for me or anybody else you're a fan of here on YouTube. Also, if you're feeling so inclined after you watch this video, I'm sure it's going to be pretty hefty length. Slap a like on it. Like goal is going to be 420. Get it? Okay, so initially when I was screen capping the trailer, I had all the images saved in order that they appeared, like from the first second on until the very end of the trailer, but they somehow got mixed up in my iCloud. So we're going to be working our way backwards, kind of, right? So in the first image, we have Rhaenyra standing in front of a dragon. Now, this is like, obviously the show's called House of the Dragon. Obviously it's going to have Targaryens on it. That alone is not that interesting, so to speak. Like, obviously, it's cool as hell. We're getting a new image of Rhaenyra from the show, but, like, the dragon itself is one that we've never seen before. I must say so. What's interesting is that it doesn't really look like her dragon, Syrax. Like, we've all seen images of Syrax. We all know what Syrax looks like, and it doesn't really look kind of anything like this dragon. I will say that there's a chance that this could be one of the wild dragons. Main reason being is because it doesn't really make sense if we're, getting images of, let's say, for instance, new dragon. I mean, they're not really new because we've kind of seen them. So, like, I'm looking for an image of Syrax. I don't necessarily think that this dragon is Syrax. You all let me know down below in the comment section. It is a possibility that this dragon is Vermithor. We know that there's going to be a scene in House of the Dragon that involves dragon seeds. So basically, in Fire and Blood, when the war is progressing to the point where the blacks have lost too many dragon riders, and they want to sort of up their numbers, they do something called the culling of the dragon seeds, where basically in Fire and Blood it's mentioned that Mushroom is the one who came up with the idea, but in short the Maesters say it's Jacaerys. Jacaerys is kind of running Rhaenyra's campaign at this time, and in doing so, he kind of like suggests, hey, maybe all of these people that are around here that could potentially be Targaryens, maybe we should have them sort of try to claim a dragon. Main reason being is because if they could ride a dragon and claim one, they could fight for our side and greatly increase the chances of us winning, right? So when he suggests this, several people are put forth. A lot of people die, right? I'm showing you right here, this is a leaked image from some of the claiming of the dragon seeds, where individuals who could potentially be part Targaryen go around the island of Dragonstone and try to claim different dragons. As a matter of fact, let me see. This image right... Hang on, let me try that again. This image right here is the actual dragon seeds claiming, like, if I had to guess, this scene right here could be related to this scene from the trailer, right? Because that dragon behind Rhaenyra doesn't make any sense, in the sense that we don't know what it looks like, right? We've never seen a dragon that looks like this with those kind of horns like that. Like, we've seen an image of Sunfire. I'm going to talk about that. Holy crap, it's the first ever image of Sunfire. We got to see Aegon in his armor in all glory, flying on his dragon, and King's Landing in the backdrop. Holy crap, we had to wait 2 years for that. Technically 4, because we waited 2 for the first season, and it didn't even show up, but we got that. Holy crap. Okay, so that image of Rhaenyra, she could be in front of one of the wild dragons, Vermithor, maybe Silverwing, although I doubt it. That's the old queen, Alysanne, the old guy Jaehaerys. I say that in every stream, but the old guy Jaehaerys, first scene of the TV show, the old dude who gives a crown to Viserys, the guy who wears it for most of season 1, his wife Alysanne, that could be her dragon, Silverwing, who's claimed by Ulf White, who is actually shown in this image right here. Up front, I believe that's Silver Dennis, and then you have, I'm not sure who the lady is, but the guy has been confirmed to be Hugh Hammer. And then we have potentially Nettles, and then or someone who is from the Velaryon bastard lineage, like Alan Oakenfist and Adam of Hull, right? And then right behind her is who I think is Off-White. And he would be the one who claims the dragon, who could potentially be shown here as Silverwing. But either way, it's going to be an insanely intense scene when these dragon individuals show up and start claiming stuff, because crap, why does it keep going to a different one? I'm trying to bring the dang image back up. Yeah, it's going to be nuts. As you can see from the leaked image, it's carnage. Not every single dragon seed is successful at claiming a dragon. So the next image that I want to discuss is the same one. No, just kidding. No, the next image I want to discuss is a Vega. Look at that. Look at that mouth on Vega. Sorry, I screen capped all of these images from Twitter because they didn't upload the trailer to YouTube, at least not on the HBO Game of Thrones channel or the House of the Dragon channel. It hasn't been up there. And then whenever I would try to screen cap it from the computer, the resolution was really low quality. So I had to screen cap it from Twitter from my phone. But anyway, this is an image of Vega blowing flame. And we know exactly what this is from. This is from Rook's Rest. Now, there's a chance that this could be from another battle, but you got to realize, we have this entire season mapped out. Or better yet, I have this entire season mapped out. Like, when they were filming, right, in the entirety of the break from season 1, when it ended, like when season 2 filming started all the way up until now, I made these things called leaked videos. And in those leaked videos, I basically covered every single image that was put out. For instance, this one right here. This is an image from post Rook's Rest, after this scene right here with Vhagar blowing. You see Vhagar blowing. I was about to say blowing smoke, but blowing flame. This image happens where we have Meleys, a beheaded dragon who's owned by none other than Rhaenys. Right, Rhaenys and Meleys die in the Battle of Rook's Rest, and then Rhaenys' dragon Meleys has its head beheaded and then marched through the streets of King's Landing. So getting back on track here, what I was saying was almost every single image that has come out about House of the Dragon Season 2 I have covered in depth in these videos. So we have the entire season mapped out, right? So we kind of know, for the most part, what's happening in a lot of the scenes that could have missing context for when trailer and stuff, for when trailers and things come out. So, this image of Vhagar blowing fire is from the Battle of Rook's Rest. It's dope. If you're unaware, in short, what happens in that battle is basically Rook's Rest is this castle that's very near to Dragonstone. It's in the Crown Lands. It's actually closer to King's Landing, but you gotta realize King's Landing and Dragonstone are also really close to each other. Like, King's Landing is on the bay, and then you go across that bay that's known as the Blackwater. You can be at Dragonstone within a day's sail. It doesn't take that long. And if you're on a dragon, you can get there within a matter of minutes. It's extremely close, right? So what ends up happening is the people of Rook's Rest send out ravens to Rhaenyra because the Greens have decided to attack anyone in the Crown Lands that are loyal to Rhaenyra. So what ends up happening is they send out, not they, but Kristen Cole and Aemond end up, and obviously it's the entire Greens send out a foraging party to go and make anyone who's loyal to Rhaenyra pay for that, right? They say, like, if you're going to deny the crown and not basically be loyal to Rhaenyra instead of Aegon, then you're going to suffer for it. So they start laying siege to all these places. Rook's Rest is one of those castles, and they end up sending out a raven to Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra's distraught in the books because she just recently lost her son. Here's another image from the Battle of Rook's Rest. But basically, this is an image of the Greens foraging party going out and wreaking havoc in the crown lands and all the people that are loyal to Rhaenyra and the Blacks, right? So basically, Rook's Rest sends out the Raven. The Raven gets to Rhaenyra, and in Fire and Blood, Rhaenyra's really distraught. Her council's being ran by Rhaenys and Corlys and Jacaerys at this time. So Rhaenys steps up and she's like, yo, I'm going to go help out these people at Rook's Rest. It's just one dragon that's there, right? At least that's what they think. Rook's Rest, it's just probably how they'll do it in the show is they'll have maybe Sunfire, because Sunfire is a smaller dragon than Vhagar, or maybe just Vhagar, one of the dragons, right? Because it's a trap. Admiral Akbar, it's a trap, right? So Rook's Rest sends word that the Greens and one of their dragons are attacking their castle. So the Blacks, Rhaenys in particular, is like, yo, let me go handle this. My dragon Meleys is way bigger, or just a strong enough dragon. I can take care of the threat of whatever dragon the Greens are using, right? So she willingly goes into battle, right? And then once she gets to Rook's Rest, she still continues to go into battle even after finding out that it's a trap. There's two dragons there. It's Sunfire and Vhagar, right? So 2 versus 1, that's not going to be in her favor. She's going to die. So in Fire and Blood, she willingly accepts death. It says she lets out a cry, like a war cry, like kind of like a Xena thing, right? Then she cracks her whip, right? Whips are a thing in the books. That's how the Targaryens help control their dragons. Kind of makes sense. I hope they do that on the TV show. I think there might even be an image of Meleys or Rhaenys on Meleys holding a whip. They should do it because that's such a it's quintessential. It's like, yeah, these dragons they have riders. They're tamed to the rider somewhat, but they still kind of have a mind of their own. Remember what Vhagar did to frickin' Lucerys and Arax, right? So the whips help call the dragons. Like if they want them to go this way, frickin' they'll slap the whip and have them go that way. But what's interesting, as a super side note, right? I've read all of the Song of Ice and Fire books, like. I've lost track. I'm not even kidding you, dude. The last time I remember keeping track was 10 times. I read all the books 10 times. But anyway, there's a moment in the Dance with Dragons, in Daenerys' POV, after she flies Drogon out of the pits of Daznak. There's like 10 POV chapters in between. You kind of don't know what happens to Daenerys, and then you pick back up with her POV towards the end of Fire and Blood. And once you do that, you find out that she's been riding Drogon. She says it's crazy to ride Drogon because Drogon's not the same as riding a horse. She says when she turns her horse to the right, it veers to the left. When she turns her horse to the left, it veers to the right. Horses typically run away from battle. They run away from blood and the scent of fear that's in the air, right? Dragons is the opposite. Whenever she smacks Drogon to the right, Drogon freaking goes to the right. He leans into it hard. And when she slacks him to the left, he goes to the left and leans into it even harder. And he runs towards battle, right? So it's interesting, that dynamic that like obviously Daenerys doesn't have any control over Drogon because she's been riding him for not that long. But even the Targaryens, like, of old, Rhaenys still had to use whips to help call her dragon Meleys, and she's ridden Meleys like her whole life. So it's awesome. Can't wait. Before I get too sidetracked, let's get back on track here. The next image that I want to discuss from the from the teaser trailer is this one right here. It's Aemond on Vhagar. I just spent a bunch of time talking about that. This is from Rook's Rest for sure. I cannot wait to see two experienced riders fight. And mind you, it won't be that crazy because Vhagar is not that experienced. Is another image. Oh no, that's different. That's Sunfire from Rook's Rest. Oh crap, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me pull the other one back up here for a second. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of like a fair fight, right? So I won't say that Aemond has as much experience riding his dragon that Rhaenys does, because that just simply wouldn't be true. Aemond's got about 10 years of experience, whereas Rhaenys has about 30, 35 years. However old she is in the TV show, she's about 65, 70, around that age in the books, and it'll be awesome to see more of an equal match. And then the next image we have that I want to discuss is from the Rook's Rest scene. I believe this is Sunfire. That could be Syrax now that I'm looking at it. Yeah, I think that might actually be Syrax. This might be where Rhaenyra flies Syrax to Blackwater Bay, where she goes to find the remains of her son. It's dope. We got a bunch of dragons this trailer. I will say the visual aesthetics of this trailer are far superior to the last one. Like, the last trailer we got had dragons, but it was nowhere near as much, as many, like, visual aids. There was not as many appearances, there we go, of dragons in the trailer. Then we got a couple quick shots of a war scenario. These are all from Rook's Rest. Rook's Rest will be most of the battle sequences that we're seeing from these trailers. There are a few more that will happen for sure. Like, there are several different small skirmishes that happen in the Crown Lands with the Greens and their warring party. So that's Aemond and Criston Cole. And we actually have images of Aemond and Criston Cole when they're filming some of those. Most of them were from Rook's Rest, but we do have, like, for instance, this image right here was posted by someone named Unbox HD on. You go look and see. The person's name was Unbox PhD on Twitter, but they were in the area when they were filming last year, and these were all the leaked images that I discussed. But like I was mentioning, this is Cole and Aemond, and it's part of that warring party of these images that we keep getting from that teaser trailer of, like, what's going on in a lot of these skirmishes, aka battle sequences like this right here, right? So we know for a fact that this is mostly all from Rook's Rest. And then just kind of picking things up a bit, we'll talk about some of the more interesting screen caps here. We got this one of, and this was, remember, I'm working backwards, so a lot of these are from the end of the trailer forward, right? So towards the end of it, we have something that we've seen several times now. It's like an image of Alicent and Rhaenyra. It's a clip of them running away from what is clearly a riot that happens in King's Landing, right? So when they were filming, we saw several images of Rhaenyra and Alicent kind of, sort of, I'm sorry, not Rhaenyra and Alicent, Helaena and Alicent filming a sequence that is going to be used for Jaehaerys' birth, right? So, Helaena and, I'm looking for the image right here. I just had it pulled up. Sorry, give me 1 second. This is one of the first scenes that they filmed when they started filming last year. So it's kind of far back. Okay, so here's one of the images. That's of Jaehaerys' funeral procession, right? So this is actually related to this scene because we can see that Alicent and Helaena are wearing gowns of mourning, right? So another image that we have from that same time period of filming that we know, all the scenes are related, is this one right here of Helaena and Alicent. Oh, this is embarrassing. Where's the picture? Here we go. Okay, so this riot that happens, right? This is for sure this same scene. So in the books, when Rhaenyra annexes the Gullet, when Rhaenyra has Corlys Velaryon block trade from going in or out of King's Landing, the people of King's Landing begin to starve. So, one of the first things that happens is a bunch of the people inside King's Landing try to flee through the gates, and the Greens lock that down. What they end up doing is causing the citizens to starve. So, eventually, well, not eventually, one of the very first things that's going to happen in Season 2 of House of the Dragon is this moment called Blood and Cheese. Remember, Rhaenyra ended Season 1 losing her son, Lucerys, and Arax, his dragon. But, like, you would think that, like, okay, it's war, and, like, obviously, sorry, my laptop died. You would think that since it's war, death is a part of that, and, like, kind of, like, it's to be expected. We gotta realize that Lucerys was an envoy. That wasn't supposed to happen, right? So that kicks off the wars. And as a direct result of that, In the books, anyway, we don't exactly know who's going to be the one who makes the call in the TV show, although we know Damon's going to have something to do with it. But in the books, Damon works alongside Mysaria from Harrenhal. That's how powerful Damon is. Damon's in the Riverlands in Harrenhal, and he has blood and cheese. He has that act executed all the way from there. So basically, he works alongside Mysaria, and Mysaria hires two people, Blood and Cheese. Blood is a former Gold Cloak who got kicked out of the Gold Cloaks for basically, in short, being too violent. Cheese is a rat catcher who at one point was hired to go through the Red Keep and get rid of rats. So he knows Maegor's tunnels. He knows those tunnels that, remember, Rhaenyra sneaked out to go meet Daemon in Season 1 when Rhaenyra was played by Millie Alcock, the younger version. I think it was episode 4 when she snuck out, right? And then also, very famously, Game of Thrones Season 4. Remember Tyrion? He's about to be executed. But then he snuck out through the tunnels by Varys and goes over and meets Daenerys. Those tunnels are going to be used to sneak into Helena's chambers and used to murder one of her sons, Blood and Cheese. Jaehaerys is the one who's killed. This scene is from Jaehaerys' funeral procession. And during that funeral procession, a riot happens. That's what this scene is right here. The scene from the trailer is Rhaenyra and Alicent fleeing from that riot. It's going to be pretty crazy. They're going to come pretty close to death. The amount of times that they've showcased this lets me know it's going to be a pretty gut-wrenching scene. And supposedly, according to some of my sources, these moments or this scene kind of contribute directly to Helena's demise, or at least her character arc for Season 2. We'll see how it happens. Another image of Alicent clearly fleeing the mob riots. I will say that the dude behind her kind of looks like Harold Westerling. We didn't see the actor who plays him filming at all, and remember, he kind of left in Season 1. He like takes off his helmet and does kind of the same thing that Barristan Selmy does. Barristan Selmy takes off his helmet and then goes and joins Daenerys' side well, it would be Season 2 or 3 of the Game of Thrones show. I don't know. But he ends up joining her side as old Barristan Selmy in the books, and he kind of like is in disguise for a while because he wants to make sure Daenerys isn't affected by the same ailment that affected her father. It's like the Targaryen madness. So anyway, that could be Harold Westerling, although I doubt it. Let me know if you kind of think that that's him from the quick image that we got. And then we got an image of this is, in my opinion, Blood and Cheese, although it's possible that it's from another scene. I think like the dress very clearly looks like something that Alicent wears, or Helena would wear, because it's from the Greens. It's kind of interesting that we have a similar, or a callback anyway, to Season 1, when Alicent is trying to stab Rhaenyra with the dagger, and then Rhaenyra catches her hand but then cuts her fingers. And then later on, when we have the funeral scene in episode 7 at Driftmark, Rhaenyra has her hand visible. The scars are visible, and she kind of hides it from Alicent, right? I kind of messed those up. I messed that timeline up a little bit. But then the next image that I want to discuss is this one right here. And this is kind of like where the trailer really starts to heat up. Or actually, no, that's not true. This is towards the end of the trailer. I forgot these images are reversed. They are from the end of the trailer backwards. It's just the way that the iCloud ended up saving those. Now, what's interesting is that it's actually really hard. That's what she said. It's actually really hard to figure out some of these scenes when it's backwards like this, because the scene that played right before this one that I'm going to discuss next is probably related to it, and I don't know, obviously, which one that is. So this is very clearly either plotting for Blood and Cheese or plotting for something on the green side. So, like, you remember how I mentioned before that the direct result of the events that happened at the end of Season 1, Episode 10, so that's Rhaenyra's son, Lucerys, being killed, a direct result of that is Blood and Cheese, right? So, obviously, the two sides, the greens and the blacks, are not going to go one for one, or like one and done. Like they do one thing mean and the other person does one thing mean and that's it. No, it's like tick for tack the entire war until everyone's dead on both sides. So, Lucerys' death causes blood and cheese, right? Blood and cheese causes another event known as the Duel of the Cargill brothers, right? So my friends, well, they're not really my friends. I've never met them before, but I've talked with them frequently in the 2 years that the show has been off. And they're really cool. Elliot and Luke Tittenser are playing Eric and Arik Cargill. And basically we saw in season 1, the two of them are on opposing sides of the war. So Sir Arik decided to side with the Greens as he was King Aegon's protector, right? Or he was Prince Aegon's protector. And he decided that he's just kind of got to do his duty. Like, even though he knows that the king is not the right person to follow, it's like he doesn't have a choice in the matter because he's just doing his job, kind of, right? But his brother, Eric, who is kind of like Rhaenyra's protector, but then trapped inside King's Landing once Aegon usurps her throne in the coronation scene and he tries to sneak out Rhaenys. He's trapped in the city. He decides to go and pledge his fealty to Rhaenyra. Remember, he brings him her crown and he says, I swear to ward the queen. To ward the queen. Not I swear toward the queen, which is what I thought it was. It's no, I swear to ward, like to ward and protect the queen. But anyway, the two of them are going to end up fighting to the death. So basically what ends up happening, and you can see King Aegon plotting in the teaser trailer. Like, the man is very clearly like, okay, to war then, from the last teaser. He's like, I don't care. We got to get our hands dirty. Whatever we have to do, let's do it. Let's do it. He's like literally just saying, I'm ready. Like, this image that I'm showing you right here is the council that happens. In my opinion, I feel like it could be a different scene, but I feel like this is what happens after Blood and Cheese, right? So Aegon comes up with the idea to send Arik Cargill, his sword and protector, over to Dragonstone, pretending to be his twin brother, Eric, who's Rhaenyra's sword and protector, and his task is to go into Dragonstone, go into Rhaenyra's chambers, and kill her, and end the war right then and there, pretending to be his brother, and then that's that, right? That's how the Greens are going to get back at the Blacks for Blood and Cheese, but he's going to end the war right then and there, so you can see Aegon's kind of sneaking around. You see, we have the scene with the, that I just had up, where you got the two individuals meeting in the dark hallway, right? Is obviously there's more than one way to fight a war, right? So, like, sneakiness. It's all about sneakiness. And I think Ryan Condal, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen this, Ryan Condal did an interview where he's talking about how this season is going to be similar to, like, a James Bond or, like, a Cold War kind of thing, where, like, people are going to be doing things kind of in secret and trying to be more of, like, mysterious and mischievous, do things behind the scenes, kind of, as opposed to all-out acts of war. There's going to be both of that, but he just kind of mentioned, I can't remember the interview because I'm trying to pull it off the top of my head, but basically he says this season's going to have more of that intrigue and mysterious suspension and stuff that kind of made, I guess a thriller would be a good word for it, that kind of made Game of Thrones better. And then the next image that I want to discuss, let's see. Real quick, I will say this. Shout out to making my Sarya's accent not be terrible. Holy crap, I can't believe they did it. I mean, I can because they needed to, because it was going to be impossible to watch any scene with Sonoya Mizuno on screen this season because she's going to say, hello, I want you to go back to my house. Like, that was a crazy accent. Terribly crazy, right? They fixed it. It's toned way down, all the way down. She literally says it like normal. I understood every single word she said. There is more than one way to fight a war. Like, that was her accent. That toned down. There is more than one way to fight a war. Right? That's toned down compared to last season, which was, there is more than one way to fight a war. Like, that's how crazy her accent was. So, yeah, shout out for y'all listening to the fans and telling y'all that accent was too crazy to the point that it didn't belong anything in Westeros. And we've all heard crazy accents, right? We have heard crazy accents in Westeros from literally Melisandre. She could have done a Melisandre accent, but it was a terrible one. Anyway, we got an image of Reyna, this is one of the dragon twins. I just combined her and her sister Bela's name. Reyna is going to go to the Vale. If you're unaware, the Vale is kind of, mind you, I say kind of, a safe spot in Fire and Blood, at least, like in the books. Reyna goes to the Vale with Joffrey, Rhaenyra's younger child, and they take, Reyna, in the books, her dragon hasn't actually even hatched yet, right? She takes her dragon egg to the books, and Joffrey takes his dragon Tyraxes in the books to the Vale. And they go and chill there in the Vale because that's safe. They can be away from the war, right? And Jacaerys, Rhaenyra's son and heir, we see him with Cregan in the trailer, up on the wall. Here, let me pull it up for you, because that was actually pretty exciting. There's rumors that the two of them could be secretly gay lovers. Those rumors started from my videos. One of the leakers that sends me information told me that there's supposed to be a secret affair between the two of these guys right here. But that's a back shot. It's a back shot of Jacaerys and Creed. I don't give a crap. It doesn't bother the storyline as long as the story's still good. Who cares, right? Both of them die. They all die. None of these characters live long enough to make it into the main story, right? Well, that's not true. Daenerys' dragon eggs. They look like they made an appearance in this teaser trailer, which is kind of crazy. I did not expect to sort of see that. At least that's what they're making the eggs look like. They're the exact same color as Daenerys' dragon eggs. Like, the exact same color. And of course, for some reason, I don't have an image of them. But, so, let me get back on track here. Jacaerys eventually will clearly go up north, right? And when he does that, he ends up stopping at a few other places first, right? So Rhaenyra sent her two sons last season to go and try to get as many people as they can to rally to her side, right? So Arrax and Lucerys went to Storm's End, and that ended kind of tragically, right? His brother, Jacaerys, and his dragon, they go up to the Vale. They go to the north. They go to White Harbor, which is another area in the north. It's like one of the biggest cities in the north, right? But when he stops off at the Vale, he gets the Vale to pledge their support, right? And that's that image that I was just showing you of Reyna. The Vale pledges their support. This is Reyna in the Vale. We actually have, let's see, leaked images. Let me do this real quick. We actually have leaked images of her filming from there. I just had those because I used those recently. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry about the delay. They were filming the Vale scenes. Here we go. This is her in the Vale. I love how I could just pull up behind the scenes. Look, this is her filming. This is... Gotcha. I got you off camera. You ain't know. You on candid camera. Anyway, Reyna filming the Vale. Something happens. Oh, crap. So sorry. When Jacaerys goes to the Vale, he gets the Vale, who is related to his mother through Emma Arryn, who is Rhaenyra's mother. The Lady of the Vale is her cousin, basically. So she agrees to join Rhaenyra's side, but in the books, you know, George is a bit of a perv, right? So he says that, you know, the Lady of the Vale prefers the company of women. So Jacaerys has to perform a sexual act on her in order to get her to come over to their side. But that's probably not what's going to happen on the TV show. Basically, she agrees to join the Blacks. And in doing so, she says, Jacaerys, you know, you hit me by surprise. I was unable to stop you. Like, in short, this is how Jacaerys' conversation goes with the Lady of the Vale when he arrives there to ask for their support for Rhaenyra, right? She tells him, she's like, look, dude, I'm going to join your side, but the thing that you need to do to assure me that I'm going to be safe, so to speak, is that I have dragons. She's like, I need dragon riders here to protect my castle, the Vale, from the air, right? The Eyrie is indefensible when dragons come. So if dragons can just drop in from the sky, what's the point of having this castle that's literally built on top of a mountain into a mountain that is extremely impossible to attack with an army, right? What's the point of having all that if you can just fly in here? So Jacaerys says, yo, I'm going to send you dragon riders. And in doing so, he sends Rhaena to the Vale along with his little brother Joffrey and his dragon Tyraxes to the Vale. Dragon riders. Now, what they could do for the TV show, right? Oh, crap. What I forgot to mention was when they were filming, they actually had a weird little scene. Sorry, I'm changing the property to the other image that I actually want to show you guys. It's just going to pull up the last one that I had set up like while I was talking about it. But while they were filming this scene right here, right? This is related to that. Right? While they were filming this, Rook's Rest battle was happening in the background, but Rhaena's probably not going to be a part of the Rook's Rest battle. Baela is, because we have Baela on her dragon Moondancer, who we know canonically is just barely big enough for her to ride by the end of the Dance of the Dragons. Baela and Moondancer actually takes out Sunfire and Aegon for like one of the final times. Basically mortally wounds Sunfire, and Aegon ends up breaking both of his legs. And Baela almost dies in the fight, right? So she goes and sees what happens to Rhaenys at Rook's Rest. But Rhaena goes to the Vale, and something happens in the Vale where when they were filming this scene, it looks like Rhaena falls off her horse because it gets spooked or something. So it's a possibility that Rhaena could see what happens to Rook's Rest. Like she goes with Baela, maybe her and Baela escape, and they go to they go to Rook's Rest and they see what happens to their grandma, and that makes them want to join the war even more. Or what could happen is maybe, for instance, Rhaena is riding up the path to the Eyrie, and then Joffrey and Tyraxes go flying overhead, and that spooks her dragon, and that causes her dragon to fall backwards, and maybe she injures herself. I'm not sure. Baela and Rhaena, and even Alicent, and even Rhaenyra. Well, no, not really Rhaenyra. Never really Rhaenyra. But, the dragon twins, so that's Daemon daughters, Baela, Rhaena, and then Alicent, and then even Helaena. Their characters are kind of put on the back burner in the books, in Fire and Blood, and we don't really get a lot from them until they die, right? Particularly Alicent and Helaena, right? So the dragon twins survive past the dance, but they're kind of young, and then the information we get post-dance in Fire and Blood Part 1 just kind of summarizes what happens to them. So I think with these two actors and actresses, these like the actors that play Baela and Rhaena, they've been given they only had like one scene last season, but they've been given a bunch of screen time in the interviews. It makes me think they're going to dramatically increase their roles for the TV show. So there could be two things happening. Like I said, it could be Rhaena's riding up the path, and then Joffrey and Tyraxes fly overhead, spooks her horse, the horse bucks her, and that's what happened in the scene of these images that I'm showing you right here. But it could also be that maybe, right, and this is kind of silly. I feel like they didn't need to do this to break canon, but maybe it'll kind of pay off, so to speak. But like there could be a possibility that Rhaena could claim a wild dragon instead of having a dragon egg. That like once it hatches, it never grows past the size of a cat. They could make her claim a wild dragon, and maybe she claims a dragon and takes that to the Vale with her. Although I just don't see or think that would really have any payoff. Artistically, like no matter which way they wrote it, it's just like, okay, why do that? It just kind of seems like one of those things where like they change things just to put their stamp on it. I'm sure you all are familiar with that. But continuing on here, the next image that I want to discuss, let's see, from the trailer is of let's see. This right here. This is pretty interesting. This, I don't really know what to say to this. Now, as you can see, hang on one second. I gotta go check something. This is gonna be like a 20-second blank spot. Hang on one second. So initially, what happens is, initially what I thought this was, and I still kind of don't. I need you all to help me out here. Like, I rambled for 40 minutes now about all these things I have answers for, and this scene kind of throws me off. Okay, so there's 3 daughters in a Storm's End scene that happens, but it would have already happened, or it should have already happened in season 1, right? So basically, when Lucerys arrives to Stormend, Aemond has already been there for a minute. Him and Boros Baratheon are actually planning a date, a marriage date, for Aemond and one of Boros' daughter. Aemond hasn't picked that daughter yet, but there's 3 of them. I keep wanting to say Maris and Floris and stuff, but I can't remember their names exactly. It's not really important. It's just, what's important is that Boros says one of them's really pretty, one of them's super smart, and one of them will probably be really fertile, right? So, Aemond doesn't necessarily pick one yet, but one of them tells him, antagonizes him to the point that makes him go and, basically kill Lucerys and cause the start of the war. She says, "Oh, I'm glad you chose my sister, because I want a man who has all his parts," basically insinuating that Aemond has no gall, right? No cojones to go and do what he needs to do and kill Lucerys, right? Lucerys is an enemy. It's greens versus black. So Aemond ends up doing that, going to go and kill Lucerys on behalf of her, and then he brings back Lucerys' head on a bed of kelp and shows it to Boros' daughter, who kind of antagonized him to do it. That's what I thought this scene was, but I don't know. I really don't. You all let me know what you think is happening in the scene down below in the comment section. It looks like, kind of looks like a dreamy sequence. Looks like these 3 individuals are potentially trying to hide themselves, and we know that this is Game of Thrones, so there's probably going to be some nudity right after this, and maybe they take off those weird fan looking cover things and they're all naked, and we get to see 3 great amazing pair of tits. That would be awesome. I'd love that, but I don't know. Like I said, you all let me know what you think is happening in those scenes down below in the comment section. Then we get an image of Adam Velaryon. Excuse me, Alan Oakenfist. Adam Velaryon was not actually shown in this trailer, which is kind of interesting because he's the one who rides Sea Smoke the dragon. So this is Abu Bakr Salim. He's playing Alan Oakenfist. Alan Oakenfist is the bastard son of Laenor. At least that's what Corlys says in Fire and Blood. In the history books, Corlys says that this chocolatey guy right here is the bastard son of, in the TV show, his half-white son, Laenor. It's funny, because clearly the show is going the route of, no. The show is going the same route as the books, which is that, no. These 2 dudes, Adam and Alan, right? They're actually Corlys's bastards that he has with this woman named Marilda of Hull, who is a shipwright's daughter of Hull, which is a shipyard, right? And he has a secret love affair with her and keeps Adam and Alan out of Rhaenys' sights, right? Because if Rhaenys found out that Corlys, her husband, is cheating on her, she'll probably kill all of his offspring, right? So this dude, Adam, and his brother, Alan, are literally kept in secret until after Rhaenys dies. After Rook's Rest happens, that's when Alan brings these 2 forward. That's when Corlys brings Adam and Alan forward, saying that they're bastard sons of Laenor, even though Laenor's gay, so he didn't have any bastard sons. That's kind of the problem with him and Rhaenyra. That's what happened, right? They're brought forward, and Alan Oakenfist does not claim a dragon. He suffers burns greatly, and I think you could actually kind of see the scars in the, maybe they'll go that route. I don't know, but basically he gets burned, and maybe they end up cutting all of his hair off, because we see that Adam Velaryon, who's played by Clinton Liberty, has dreads. He's got full dreads, kind of like Corlys. So they're not the same color. They're black dreads, which is kind of an interesting choice aesthetically, because Velaryons and Valyrians in general all have one common feature. They all have several common features in the books, which is pale skin, purple eyes, and light hair, but they got rid of purple eyes and obviously light skin for the TV show, and they just do it with the hair. The hair is the one defining feature, but they're making Adam and Alan have black hair. So it'll be interesting to explain how their connection to dragon is that strong, even though Velaryons are not a dragon riding family. So clearly they must have lineage of some Targaryen from back when. But anyway, what I was getting at is you can kind of see that scar above his left eye there, and then his head looks freshly shaved. Remember Laenor, the last time we saw Laenor, his head was shaved, and he was going out into the ocean, right? Symbolism. Love it. I love the cinematography and all that stuff. They're always on point with that. But anyway, maybe his hair got burned off. That's what happens to Daenerys. When Daenerys first hops on Drogon, Drogon singes her hair. Oh, wait, no, what am I talking about? Daenerys burns all of her hair off when she walks into the funeral pyre. That's what it is. She walks into Drogo's funeral pyre. She burns all of her hair off, and she's bald for like 2 books. Maybe that's what happens to our boy Alan Oakenfist here. Maybe when he tries to claim Sea Smoke burns him, and all of his hair gets burned off. And he's like, screw it, I'm going to shave it. And he's rocking the scars, and he's proud of it. It's dope. Super excited to see Abu Bakr bring on the role of Alan Oakenfist. And we know he makes it all the way to the end. He survives. Adam, on the other hand, not so much, but Alan does. It'll be really cool. And if you're unaware, he's father from the Raised by Wolves TV series on HBO. So that's really cool. He did awesome on that show. I can't wait to see what he brings to this role. Then we got this image of Aemond. Super excited. I haven't talked about Aemond at all this video. He's very clearly laying on the lap of who might be one of those women that we saw before. The 3 women. The 3 women that I just showed you before. Let me bring them back up here. He could be laying on the lap of one of them, although I just doubt it. Probably more than likely, that's Alice Rivers. The reason why I say that is because Alice Rivers is the only canonical person that confronts Aemond. Or, I'm sorry, confronts. No, that's not the wrong word. Comforts. That's what it is. Confront and comfort. 2 totally different things. 2 really close words, but they mean the complete opposites. And they're like, if someone wants comfort, you don't want to be confronted. It's the opposite. But anyway, so yeah, it could be one of these women's, one of these Baratheon women's, although I doubt it. I think Alicent is for the TV show, they made it seem like she's going to be a face changer. For the books, they kind of made it seem like she has a bunch of mysterious skills. Like she could be a shadow binder. She could also be a face changer. Really, she's just a really good mummer. Like you learn when you read A Song of Ice and Fire that Arya, even though at first everything about the Faceless Men seems really mysterious, when she goes to Bravos and she goes to the House of Black and White and she starts discovering the secret, she realizes that, oh no, some of these things are very practical. So like she thinks that she could just put on a new face and change how she looks. But no, really, she has to learn how to change the shape of her face muscles in order for the mask to be effective, right? So it's practical in the sense that they use a dead person's face and then they put it over their face and they change their facial muscles. Like they smile up and down and then they wrinkle their forehead or they purse their lips. They just practice having full control over every facial muscle feature, and you learn that Faceless Men aren't as mysterious, or as magical rather, as they seem once Arya starts discovering those secrets. So in the books, when you apply that information to what we learn about Alice Rivers, where basically Alice Rivers, during all of the Dance of Dragons, she tries to comfort, or we don't know if because she's at Harrenhal. We know she's a bastard of Harrenhal. We don't know how old she is. She could be 45. She could be in her 20s. She could have been a wet nurse to Harwin, and we know Harwin is Harwin Strong. Obviously, we know he's like 30 years old. We saw him in the TV show, but that would make sense because she looks like she's in her 20s, right, or in her 30s. So that's one of the things we hear about Alice Rivers. But basically, she ends up seducing Aemond, and she ends up being pregnant with Aemond's wife. And once Aemond dies, at the end, she has his baby. And then a bunch of people come to Harrenhal to try to root her out of the castle. And she does some Shadowbinder tricks by sending a dude back to King's Landing and then snapping his neck via a shadow puppet or a shadow clone or a shadow baby, right? Like the same thing Melisandre does. And she's got this big mysterious aura about her. So Alice Rivers for the TV show is obviously going to be a combination of multiple different things. So maybe she changes how she looks. Maybe these two images are related. Maybe Alice Rivers makes herself look more Targaryen, and then we got that image of, or we get this, this image, and then maybe she eventually changes her face into Gale Rankin, who's the actual Alice. And now that I'm looking at that, I could be completely, no, I'm assuming that this is Alice Rivers, because why would Aemon be shirtless, and why would his mother confront him, like give him comfort like that? I did the comfort thing again, damn it. Why would his mom, comfort him like that? She'd be like, dude, put your shirt on, right? So maybe Aemon goes to a whorehouse to relieve his stress. You got to realize that in season 1, when he goes to the whorehouse with Kristen Cole, that woman that Kristen Cole has a scene with in real life, that's Fabian Frankel's acting coach. So that was pretty cool that he said he got to have a scene with his acting coach. But anyway, in that scene, that whore is who Aemon, they insinuate that Aemon lost his virginity to her. So maybe he goes to try to get comfort from her at the Cock-Inn Tavern. If you're unaware, the Cock-Inn Tavern is, I'm going to show you an image of props from when they were filming House of the Dragon Season 2. We got an image of some props that showed a list on a box, or it's a name tag on a box that said these are for the Cock-Inn Tavern. So we know that there's going to be a scene that happens at a place called the Cock-Inn Tavern or the Cock-Inn Brothel. I'm trying to find those images. I'm trying so hard to find those images. Okay, so here's one of them. This is the Jaehaerys funeral prop set, right? And then there was another one. Let's see. Sorry, I should have just found it instead of, because now I got to scroll all the way back down. So there's a list of set props. And we know that there's going to be a scene at the Cock-Inn Tavern. And I kind of like just start going crazy. Here we go. I start going crazy with my theories about what could happen, and then combine it with rumors and stuff, right? So what's going on here is, what could be happening here, like I was saying, is Aemon goes back to that woman he lost his virginity to. He's looking for comfort. He is obviously feeling some type of way about the war kicking off. Maybe this is with Helena, although I doubt it. What I'm thinking happens is Aemon goes with his brother Aegon to blow off steam, and then at the Cock-Inn Tavern, these women show up potentially, and maybe they please Aegon, and Aemon goes with the woman that he lost his virginity to. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how they portray this scene on the TV show. You've got to humanize these characters, because like obviously they know what they're doing and making Aemon look really cool, right? But like he's multifaceted. He's got several layers, and he's a complex character. So they've got to build those levels of complexity, right, by showing him having a wide range of emotions and being like an onion from Shrek. He's got layers, right? So that's what I think is going on in this scene. The next scene that I want to discuss is, I'm making pretty good progress and timing here. This was Daemon. Daemon, the enemy within is more insidious. In my opinion, this looks like Daemon is in Dragonstone. He's wearing robes, so maybe this is Harrenhal. Yeah, it's got to be Dragonstone or Harrenhal. Looks like he's discovering something that he doesn't really expect to be seeing. And I don't have anything for this. And I always have something for these images, but I don't really have it. Daemon, he looks cool, but I don't really know what's going on here. That wording at the bottom is just the voiceover, right? It's not necessarily related to the scene, but you all let me know what you think is happening in this scene down below. Then the next image that I want to discuss Did I discuss this already? That's weird. It's like the images are changing. Yep, that's just the water. That's not the image I wanted to discuss. Sorry about that, y'all. Is this it? That's not it either. That's someone gripping their fingers like the bloody hand. Don't really know what was happening in that scene. It's just a quick shot from the trailer. It's another shot of Damon. Like I said, let me know what you all think is happening in the scene down below in the comment section. I am not necessarily at a loss, but I don't really have anything that I could add to it. And then this right here, this is an image of Rook's Rest. This is a massive gout of flame that has been let out across the battlefield. Now, if you're wondering why I'm so confident in this being Rook's Rest, well, if you just look at these sigils and these shields right there, that looks like a bendy. I think a bendy. I'm not sure. I'm not really good at the names of stuff. But if you look at that right there, and then you compare it with this right here, we know that these are the same props and shields that were used while they were filming these scenes. The symbols line up. The sigils line up. This is all part of Rook's Rest. You got to realize Rook's Rest is and will be the biggest battle of Season 2 for the simple fact that we've got 3 dragons actually dancing in the sky. We've got Melees, who's a massive Scarlet Queen. You've got Sunfire the Golden, who I'm about to talk about next because why the frick not, right? And then also you got Aemond and Vhagar. Vhagar is the biggest dragon. So you've got the biggest dragon, then the second biggest dragon in Melees, and then Sunfire, who are aesthetically is the most pleasing dragon. It's golden. It's got bright golden scales and then pink membranes. It's called the Golden Werem. Like it's widely known as the most beautiful dragon of all time. So this Rook's Rest scene, they put everything they have into it. I was told that the budget for the 2 episodes was something like $45 million just for 2 days of filming. Like, it's crazy. It's going to be nuts. I'm positive that Rook's Rest is the reason, the battle anyway, is the reason why this season has been shortened to 8 episodes. Like, it makes sense. You can't fit Rook's Rest and then the Battle of the Gullet in the same season. That's just impossible. That would be way too much for one season. But now that I've teased it a bunch of times, let's go ahead and talk about it. Aegon on his dragon in King's Landing, and we get shots of Sunfire. Now, I will say, I didn't expect to like Aegon's armor this much when I saw it last season. Oh, I'm sorry, not last season, in the last trailer. Like, we see his helmet, the crown sort of being formed into his helmet, and then we see him kind of slightly putting it on. I think this armor, and I can't believe I'm saying this, right? I have a painting that my buddy J Fox Art made for me with Daemon's armor, right? I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I think Aegon's armor might be on par with Daemon's, if not even better. The main reason being is because it's got the Conqueror's crown in it, right? It's got, I don't know how to explain this to you, but Aegon rocking his namesake's crown, like he's wearing the Conqueror's crown in his armor on Sunfire, right? Proper Targaryen king and all of its awesomeness, right? You gotta understand how long we've waited to see this on screen. Like, we were supposed to see Aegon ride Sunfire around King's Landing last season. It was supposed to happen after his coronation. Like, the man gets coronated, and then him and Helaena flap around the city. They literally hop on their dragons. Helaena hops on Dreamfire, flies around the city. Aegon hops on Sunfire, the Golden, flies around the city, then lands in the Red Keep. That is so symbolic of Aegon accepting the crown, right? The city sees him do it. They're like, this is our king. Obviously, not everybody in the city wants that, but like, that moment was stolen from me. It was taken from me. And I've now had to wait 2 years. 2 fucking years to see it. And now I'm going to get to see it. So I'm truly, genuinely excited for this moment, right? And there's newbies, there's people who haven't watched my content at all that come to my social media or come to these videos and they try to comment and they're going, Sir Hunch, you're very clearly a green stan or you're very clearly a black stan. And I go, shut the heck up. And then I verbally smacked him, right? I verbally smacked him in a reply, right? In the comments, right? It's like, no, what are you talking about, my friend? No, I am 100% down the middle. I am the narrator's side. I am team small folk. I'm team whoever's got the best story in the moment, right? That's who I am. So if I'm talking about an epic moment for the Greens, I'm going to sound like a green stand because guess what? This is an amazing moment for Aegon. He has this crazy moment in the books where he flies his dragon Sunfire around the city and it's beautiful and Helena and Dreamfire are with him and everything kind of seems like stuff may work out because he kind of isn't a bad king, right? He doesn't even want to take his sister's crown. He's like, yo, ma, you tripping. That's my sister's crown. I'm not going to take it. The only reason why he does it, and they kind of did this on the TV show, but not really. The only reason why he does it in the books is because his mother says, yo, if you do not take that crown, Rhaenyra will kill you. You're the greatest threat to her throne. You're the greatest threat to her heirs because her heirs are bastards. She will get rid of you in order to make her children more safe. So he's like, all right, obviously I don't want everybody to die. And then he takes the crown. That's what happens. That makes the most sense. That's the most believable thing because no one is comic book evil villain. You kind of have to go down this journey of things. And honestly, if you look at it from the villain's perspective, they're not a bad guy. They think they're right. Isn't that like one of the things that like everybody says, or like it's a famous quote, is like the best kind of bad guy is a bad guy who doesn't realize he's bad, right? Aegon doesn't think he's bad. He's technically not. He was just like, okay, obviously, Aegon on the TV show and what they decided to do with his character on the TV show is separate from what he did in the novels. I'm referring to what he does in Fire and Blood, which is, for the most part, rumors. We don't know if that happens. The show kind of stepped it up to a notch, which is something the show is famous for. But awesome, epic. He looks freaking amazing. I can't wait to see this armor in its glory. It's probably going to be the next painting that I ask from J Fox is Aegon in the armor, so I can have Aegon and Daemon, like in the opposing armors, looking amazing. Then the next image, and I'm kind of gonna run a little bit more quickly to make timing a little bit better here. This, in my opinion, is very clearly one of the first times we'll be seeing Rhaenyra this season. So what I mean by that is like Rhaenyra, we know that Rhaenyra is going to go to Shipbreaker Bay, find the remains of her son, and then ultimately kick off the season from there. So basically she... why is that image frozen? Sorry about that, y'all. Basically, Rhaenyra finds out about her son's death in Season 1, Episode 10. First thing she does is go confirm it, right? She hops on her dragon, Syrax, flies to Shipbreaker Bay, and finds a fisherman who has the remains of her son. Now, let me show you some of the images that we have that sort of confirm this. It's going to take me a while. Okay, so this right here is an image of... Sorry, I don't know why the image is still below this one. This is an image right here, and I know it's really blurry. But this is an image of Rhaenyra with a blue CGI element, the foam that shows her dragon's head. Basically, she goes to Shipbreaker Bay and finds her son's remains, finds the remains of her son's dragon, Arax, and then has a funeral pyre for them. And we actually see that, or we saw that, rather, in the last trailer. We saw Rhaenyra standing around what appeared to be anyway, a funeral pyre. Let me pull that up. I actually have that. Was it this one? No, this was from a different one. Sorry, hang on. it was like the very beginning of the trailer. Where is it? So Rhaenyra basically will start out the season. I showed you the leaked image. We know she goes to Shipbreaker Bay. Here we go. And this is Lucerys' funeral, right? So this scene right here is probably right before this scene right here. Right? The scene of Rhaenyra crying like that. Her hair's all distraught. She kind of looks like she has blood on her face. That's probably right before this. Okay? So we know that Rhaenyra and Jacaerys have a moment together. So Jacaerys probably returns from the Vale. Not probably. He for sure returns on his trip that he's supposed to be going to get people to rally to Rhaenyra's side. Comes back, right? And it's going to be pretty crazy to watch how she does this season mentally, in the sense that, like, the books make it seem as though she's too distraught to really do anything until the taking of King's Landing, because she loses. You got to realize they're doing it differently for the TV show, but she loses her father, right? Then she loses Lucerys. I'm sorry, let me restart. She loses her father, then she has a stillbirth. She loses her daughter, right? Then she loses her son Lucerys. Then she loses Jacaerys. All of that. She has 4 deaths, all back to back to back to back to back, before she takes King's Landing. So she is distraught. She is gone. She's mentally not there in the books until she takes King's Landing. So it's going to be really interesting to see the way that they go with her route this season, mentally wise, especially when you compare it to her, her brother, who we all know is kind of, he's going to start the season out not necessarily similar to her. Why can't I get it to line up? Yeah, not necessarily similar to her, but they're going to equally be in a very similar mental headspace. Or, I'm sorry. Aegon is going to start the season in a good mental headspace. Blood and cheese will happen. We'll start to see him mentally have a downfall into where Rhaenyra was at the end of season 1. Rhaenyra is going to have hers get better and better, right? She's going to start out at the lowest point she's ever been at. Then she's going to have a few victories. Then she's going to have another few victories. And then eventually she's going to end the season by taking King's Landing, and she'll be at a mental high point where Aegon will be at his mental low point. So you got to realize what happens to Aegon in Rook's Rest is, like, yes, he survives. Yes, technically the Greens win, but it's like he is burned on half of his body. He sleeps 9 out of every 10 hours, and he's in the most pain he's ever been in his whole life. And he actually becomes addicted to milk of the poppy, which affects his personality even more, because that's basically heroin. He becomes an oxy addict. And, like, you can't blame him, because the dragon roasted him, and the fire was so hot from the dragon flames from Melee's, but there's rumors that it could actually have been Vhagar and Aemond who caused Aegon to get taken out, because Aemond obviously wants to take the throne, right? But the fire was so hot, Aegon's armor melts and fuses to his flesh, and they aren't able to take it off of his flesh. So this guy stays in agony, right? So you're going to have, like I said, Rhaenyra, mentally, lowest point ever at the beginning of the season. Aegon, mentally, highest point ever. And they probably will never be at those points again in the rest of the series, because eventually Aegon's going to be built back up. He's going to become the decrepit, crippled king by season 4. He feeds Rhaenyra to a dragon. He kind of wins, but then ultimately gets poisoned and dies. Rhaenyra, built back up. King's Landing, massive, the fall of King's Landing is a massive victory for her. She starts enacting rules and laws, and basically loses control of the city, and is forced to sneak out, and then eventually goes to Dragonstone, and doesn't realize that Aegon's already at Dragonstone, and then he feeds it. So this is going to be so awesome. Then another image, and I'm going to kind of wrap these up shortly. I'm just going to run through some of the more fun ones. We obviously have one of Jacaerys, and that's needs to be talked about. We need to talk about Jacaerys and Cregan. I will say Tom Taylor looks kind of silly in this wig, at least from this image. Like, that wig looks as bad as Ned Stark's wig in season 1, but then they gave Jacaerys, Jacaerys doesn't have a wig. I think that's Harry Colette's normal hair. He just looks like he's a moody Stark. Cregan looks like he's very moody. He's definitely going to be the same age as Jace. And I mentioned before, there were rumors that were started by me on my channel. But they're rumors nonetheless that Jacaerys and Cregan are going to be gay. There were never any inclinations to that in the books. I personally, and I keep saying the books, but it's really just one book. It's Fire and Blood Part 1. And then, like, obviously you have the Princess and the Queen, and then you have the Rogue Prince, and then you have, mentions of it in the main series. But Fire and Blood Part 1 is what the show is basing most of their stuff off of. But there's never even an innuendo or a reference to the two of them maybe potentially being gay in the books. That's not even referenced that way. It's just like, oh, the two of them grew close as brothers and they would spend a lot of time hunting together, right? There was never anything that insinuated that the two of them would be like that. But, someone had mentioned it. I mentioned it in my videos. And then ever since I made that video, it went rampant. The rumors went rampant. Like I said, me personally, from a story-wise, from a fan standpoint, who cares? I don't care. As long as the story's still good, as long as I'm still entertained, that's all I give a crap about, right? If you change the quality of the story to force things, that's when I have an issue with it. Whether it's gay or whatever, political stuff, whatever. If the story suffers because you're trying to force something in, not a fan of it, I'll hate it, right? But if it's good and I'm entertained, that's all that matters to me. You all let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Then the next image that I want to discuss is this one right here, and then I only have a few more after that. That's weird. Sorry about that. Hang on. The next one that I want to discuss is this one right here. Okay, here we go. So this conversation is happening between Rhaenyra and Rhaenys, and it seems as though, well, it's not that it seems. This is before the Battle of Rook's Rest. So what's interesting is that we've had glimpses of this conversation before, and in that conversation, wait, why? Where's my logo? There we go. Okay, sorry about that. So we've gotten glimpses of this before, and Rhaenys is kind of telling Rhaenyra, like, yo, everything we've done about this battle up until this point has kind of been like child's play. There's no turning back from this point. Like, this war is one that's going to change the face of history, right? That's what the two of them are having in this conversation. And in my opinion, it makes the most sense that this is right before Rhaenys flies off to battle. Like, the Black Council has made their war strategy. Jacaerys has probably gone back out to fly to the north to meet with Cregan, right? We've got Daemon and Harrenhal in the Riverlands making a rallying point for all of Rhaenyra's forces to come and gather their strength at in Harrenhal, right? It's a key quintessential point in the Riverlands. The Riverlands has a bunch of Rhaenyra's followers, and Harrenhal's a big enough castle to keep them all in one location. So it's really easy for when the next image I'm going to discuss, which is, Daemon telling Rhaenys, we're going to King's Landing, we're going to take the city, right? That's what his plan is. He has all of those forces there at Harrenhal. So then once Aemond, who he knows is going to try to come and attack Rhaenyra's strong point, right, Harrenhal, once Daemon knows that Aemond has left King's Landing and leaves it defenseless to come and try to attack him in Harrenhal, that's when Daemon, right, has all of the forces move to King's Landing, and then Daemon gets on Caraxes and flies to Dragonstone, and then gets with Rhaenyra, and they take the freaking city. So that's gonna be awesome. This conversation is with, like I was saying before, is with Rhaenys, and this will probably be the last scene that she has with Rhaenyra. This is before she flies off to go and sort of die in Rook's Rest. The moments and the words that are exchanged between Rhaenyra and Rhaenys here are probably going to be what makes Rhaenys willingly give a glad cry and a crack of the whip to accept death. She's like, yo, Rhaenyra's doing her part. I'm going to do my part, right? Maybe she finds out that Corlys was unfaithful to her, and that's what helps her willingly, accept her fate. Like, maybe it's a combination of stuff, because remember, Corlys kept pushing her to try to submit her claim to the Great Council 101 AC, and he tries to make it seem like he's looking out for their family and stuff, and she kind of wants to stay away from the war. Maybe that will be the final straw that makes her accept her fate. Is she's like, my husband was unfaithful, my kids have all died, everybody's all died, let me make this worth it. Let me try to end it right here and try to make everything worth it, right? Maybe that's what is going to go through Rhaenys' head in those moments. I don't know, but we will see in less than a month. Like, y'all realize this? You're watching this video, we've been watching it. If you've been watching it since the beginning, you've probably been watching it for an hour or so, and like, you got to remember, we only have a few weeks to wait. The show is going to be out in like exactly 1 month from now, right? It's awesome. At least I think it's awesome. Then the next image that I want to discuss, sorry, I'm looking for that one with Daemon and Rhaenys. Here we go. What the heck? Oh, man, this is getting annoying. Okay. Okay, so this is the actual image. Sorry. Oh, wait, and surprise, it's not Rhaenys and Daemon. This is another important image. So we'll discuss Rhaenys and Daemon after that, right? So this is something that they're doing for just for promotion, right? So I tried to hit myself with this mentally. I'm like, yo, obviously it was unexpected to have Daemon choke Rhaenyra, right? That was totally unexpected. That does not happen in canon. Made me like Daemon significantly less, right? In those scenes. I didn't enjoy that at all. It's kind of hard to watch. That's how you know they're good actors, because that was intense, right? Oh, real quick, by the way, you guys see the Valyrian glyphs? Y'all see that? You see the Valyrian glyphs back there? That's dope. The attention to detail is amazing. I appreciate that as a massive Targaryen fanboy. It's cool because Valyrian glyphs and Valyrian writing, you'll learn, at least I hope we'll learn, are very similar to the old tongue and the old language in the first, the runes of the first men. The first men in history or World of Ice and Fire leave their history on runes. So not a lot of people knew what went down in the days of the first men because they wrote it on runes. But I have a secret suspicion that the old tongue, the runes of the first men, the Valyrian language, and the Valyrian runes are all related. So anyway, shout out to the set designer. Probably Ryan Condal specifically told them to put those in there, those Valyrian runes. That's cool. So anyway, they're posing this as something for promotion to kind of keep the average show watcher off their toes, I guess, to try to figure out, like, oh, wait, is Daemon going to try to fight Rhaenyra? Even though we know that's not going to happen. Like, what's happening here is Daemon's probably fully going to accept, like, Rhaenyra's forcing him to say, do you accept me as your queen and as your ruler? And Daemon's probably going to say something like, it's not my choice. Like, I'm doing my duty. And, like, he's like, are you powerful enough to grab it? Like, no. In my opinion, knowing what we know from Daemon, Daemon's being kind of like a troll a little bit. He probably will turn it back on her. It's like, do you accept yourself as queen? Do you accept yourself as ruler? Are you going to do what's necessary? That's what I think's happening in this scene. And then I think the two of them will come to an agreement, to an understanding that, like, yo, we're going to do whatever it takes is necessary. Like, I accept you as your queen and ruler. Do you accept what needs to be done to make you the queen and the ruler, right? Like, this is going to be such an intense, amazing moment. One of my favorite dynamics is Rhaenyra and Daemon. For the TV show, they've added an interesting layer of, like, like, will they, won't they? Because the chemistry that you get between Damon and Rhaenyra in the first 5 episodes, right, when they're younger, before they have all of this heartbreak and tragedy happen to them, is very flirtatious, very believable in the sense that, like, yo, they kind of probably would behave like that towards one another. And then, but even though that you kind of think they want to get together and they're like soulmates or whatever, then, you know, life happens 20 years later, right? Kids, right? Families, divorces, deaths, all this stuff happens. Then they finally get together. And then guess what? They're not as happy as you thought they'd be from how they reacted when they were younger. They've grown apart. They're not the same, right? Things happen. People change, right? That's kind of what's happening. So it's gonna be really interesting to see their dynamic. And I think, like I said, I think that's just kind of like a ploy to keep people on their toes, like the average show watcher. If you don't know, if you never read Fire and Blood, maybe they could lead you into thinking Rhaenyra and Daemon face off against each other, even though they don't, and that's not the case. Then the next image, it's another one of Daemon. You know, I didn't think they'd be so eager to die. He's obviously telling Rhaenyra, like, or I'm sorry, he's obviously at Harrenhal, and he's maybe talking with Alice Rivers, telling her, like, there's rumors, right, that Alice and Daemon have a scene, and Alice antagonizes Daemon, and Daemon, you know, is witty back with her. So maybe that's what this image is. Then we have another one. Trying to look for it. I can't really tell because it's so dark. This one is really interesting. It's you know, Corlys and Rhaenyra basically talking. No, that's not the one that I was going. It's funny because I'll try to set it up and I'm thinking it's the right one, and I have like a little bit of notes here, so I'm like, let me say the quip. It's funny, and this is really interesting, and then I pull it up and it's literally just Rhaenyra being told by Corlys, yo, my ships sail at your command. Yeah, no crap, duh, she's the queen, she looks awesome, you better do whatever the heck she says, dude. But yeah, so let me actually try to find. Oh, here we go. This is Moon Dancer and Bela showing up in the Vale there. That's really cool. I think I'm running out of steam. Which is pretty cool because this is an image of Sunfire. And here's an image of Cole screaming. All right. So we've reached the end. I want to thank you all so much. This was a long podcast. Please slap a like on it. If you're a fan of my channel or anyone here on YouTube, number one thing you could ever do is subscribe. So please subscribe to me here on YouTube. If you're feeling so inclined, check out my Patreon. Patreon's link down below in the description. A couple of weeks ago, I dropped an hour or a half-hour long podcast about some of the more recent events involving Dunk and Egg, Winds of Winter, and then at that time, some of the House of the Dragon Season 2 news. You can go watch that. I've got about 100 episodes of my podcast where I talk about mostly book stuff. So that's book stuff relating House of the Dragon Season 1 and 2, and then also several POV breakdowns from the A Song of Ice and Fire chapters, and then also random stuff like a bit of history of my own personal life and stuff. So if you're ever curious about my upbringing or anything, go check it out. You can join for just a few bucks, and you'll immediately unlock about 50 to 60 hours of content that are exclusive to Patreon only. But if you can't do that, thank you for watching. I'll probably drop another video within the next week or so, but the show's going to be out within a month. So, LONG NAAGHT is almost over. Zaldrizas Bustari Iskos Davor.